welcome to Mr. Johnson Math and Science class, and today we'll be doing variation on mathematics. This is my email. You can send an email. I'm going to reply. Support this video please by subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, and then call or WhatsApp me via these digits. Have a good time. Okay, but before that, we have a package. I can actually teach you math and science anywhere in the world. I can help you prepare for your JAMB exams, your SAT, or any other exam that is math and science based. Have a good time. Let's get into the class. Okay, variation. This is the proportionality symbol or variation symbol. The word variation is used to describe the relationship between two or more quantities. Okay, before I come back to this, let me just state the types of variation we have. We have about 4 types of variation. We have joint variation, okay, and then we also have partial variation. Okay, but before that, this is the 4th one and this is the 5th one, but in the course of this lesson we'll be dwelling only on this and this. So these ones, they don't actually often show in most of your exams like a JAMB and WAEC. Okay, examples of direct variation. Now I'm dwelling on direct variation. At this point I'm dwelling on direct variation, which is the first part of this class. Okay, on direct variation we have examples. The relationship between quantity sold and profit made. And remember I told you that this is the relationship between two or more quantities. So 2 or more quantities. So now we have 2 quantities here, or 2, let me say, scenarios here. The relationship between quantity sold and profit made. So if I'm selling, let's say, pencil for an example, and I make 5 naira for selling each pencil. If I sell 10 pencils, it means 10 times 5, right? And if I sell 2 pencils, it means 2 times 5, which is the profit I'm making. So you actually know that this is the profit I make for selling each pencil. I make 5 naira for selling each pencil, right? And then this is the number I sold. I sold 10 here and I sold 2. Okay, let's also relate this to the profit to make. Okay, 10 times 5 is 50, right? So I make 50 naira when I sold 10, 50, and here I made 2 times 5 is 10, only 10 naira. So you see that when I sold more, for instance, at this point, so let me use this other highlighter. When I sold 10, when I sold more, I made more money. And when I sold few or little, I made little money. This is 10 naira, not this 10. Okay, so it means that there is a relationship between the quantity sold and the profit made. Another instance we have here is relationship between age and sage. It is believed, or is a common ideology, that when people grow older, they become wiser. So the more somebody grows, the person is expected to become wiser and experienced, and that's another relationship we can actually use to explain this concept. Okay, and the last one I have here is that the relationship between practice and perfection. If you want to do well in any career or profession, it is ideal for you to practice, and if you practice well, you become a professional in that field. So the more you practice, the better you become, which means there's a direct relationship between the practice you give to your work and then the product it gives you at the end of it. Let's go ahead and solve some questions. Okay, we have some questions here on direct variation. Now when you see questions on direct variation, don't actually be frightened. They are very much simple, much more simple than you imagine or think. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. Okay, the question says, given that m varies directly as w, when w is 3 and m is 6, calculate the value of m when w is 7.5 and m when w is 16.5. Don't be confused. This is just simple. So I'm going to take you step by step on how to solve such kind of questions. Okay, solution. I have that m from the question, m, given that m varies directly, so always ask yourself, what is the relationship between these quantities? because here we have two quantities, right? The first one is this W, and the second one is this. Sorry, the first one is M, and then the second one is this. So there are two quantities now. Now always check out from the question, they will tell you whether they vary directly, inversely, jointly, or partially. So here it is a direct variation. Are you getting me? So we have that M varies directly as W. Remember when I told you what I told you about it? This is variation symbol. So in every variation question, we have to introduce a constant, and oftentimes people use K as a constant, and I wish to use K in this class. So introduce constant. Now when I introduce my constant, I wish to use K, it will get rid of this proportionality symbol. So here I'll be having that M equal to KW. I see now that when I introduce my constant, I got rid of this proportionality symbol, and now this will give me the general equation I will use to solve everything I'm solving here. So this is my general equation. Okay, that's this. So this one is my general equation. I will always work with it. So from here I have that my general equation now. Okay, let me continue from this part of the board. My general equation says that M equal to KW. Okay, now watch. It says that, so we've explained the part that says given that M varies directly as W. The next part says when W is 3, please pay attention to this, and M is 6. Now watch, M is 6, right? So I substitute 6 for M, and then K is here. Wow, don't be sorry for that. Okay, I substitute 6 for M, and then K, I don't know what is K, is a variable, and then W is what? W is 3 according to this question stem. So multiply by 3, 6 equal to K times 3 gives me 3K. I like to bring my numbers before variables. So what do I do from here? From this point, I divide both sides by 3. Now if you know you are not really cool, or you don't really understand what I'm doing here, why I'm dividing both sides by 3, check out my video on simplifying linear equation, or any video I have on algebraic expression. So 6 divided by 3, because I'm dividing both sides by 3, and 3K divided by 3. So 3 here is 1, it cancels out. 3 here is 1, and then 3 here is 1, but 3 then here is 2. So I have that. Let me bring down the quantities I have remaining. So 2 equal to K. So it means that therefore K is equal to 2. And remember what we said earlier. We said that K is our constant, right? So it means that the value of our constant in this particular question is 2. So K, our constant, happens to be 2. So let's go ahead. Let's go to the next. Let's go for the next question stem. Calculate the value of M when W equal to 7.5. So let's do this part now. So it means find M. Find M, which means M is unknown, when W equal to 7.5. So everything we do in this particular math, we have to always bring back our general equation, which says that M equal to KW. That's a general equation. Now we're looking for M, right? It means we don't know what is M, but then we've solved and we've gotten the value of K. K is 2. So 2 multiplied by W from this place says 7.5. 7.5, and M is equal to 2 times 7.5 is 15. We've gotten for 15. Now the next part of this question, the next part in this question stem is saying and W and M again. Wow, we have to solve for M 2 times. Always be conscious of what you're solving for. That will really help you to get the accurate answer. Okay, so we're solving for M again. So let's bring back our general equation that says that M equal to KW. So M, we don't know what is M again. I'm solving for this part, and then K, we got K as 2 multiplied by what is W. W in this part now is 16.5, right? 16.5. So don't be confused. Always know what they're asking to solve for and know the digit they're giving you. So 16.5, 16.5, then we'll be having that M is equal to 2 times 16.5 will be giving us 33. Okay, 33, and that is the value of M. Hope this is very much simple and it's something you can actually relate to. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. The next slide, we have that. We have wow. We have a kind of long questions, but I tell you, it's not difficult. It's something you can always solve on your own. Okay, let me just make some platform for my calculations right here. Now we have a question that says that given that the number of staff at Emerald International School varies directly, I told you always ask yourself, what is the relationship here? So here now is direct variation. So varies directly. If it were inverse, they will still tell you is varies inversely or varies jointly or varies partially. So it's direct variation at this point. Okay, now as the number of students, so the quantity we have here is that number of staff and what number of students. But we have another word here, cube. This word can be very tricky. Don't let it trick you off. This word cubed. So that's another word we have to put in consideration. Now, if you listen, if you study this question carefully, just see if there are 54 staff. You see staff in the whole school and 3 students. You see student again in a particular section. Find the number of students. You see this now in the school. If the number of staff, I seen how it's just working, if the number of staff increases to 128. Okay, let's go ahead and actually solve this question. Like I told you, it's never hard. So solution. But before I start solving, I want to just get some of my quantities, or some of my, yes, my quantities. Now the first thing I have here is staff, right? I have staff, and I also have students. So let me say, let's staff let's staff be S, and let students be M. So for my staff, I have that my staff is S. So my staff is S, and then student is M. Okay, so let's go ahead and start and solve. Hope this is not confusing you in any way. So we say that staff varies directly as M, because M is student. Hope this is making sense to you. So S is number of staff and M is number of students, and this is the proportionality symbol or variation symbol. So what's the first thing we do? We have to introduce a constant. So let's introduce a constant. Introduce a constant. Let's also use K in this one now. So it becomes that S equal to K Km. So from here, this is our general equation, right? Okay, so let's continue. It says that if there are 54 staff in the whole school and 3 students in a particular section, so I think let's go to this next part of the question, and fix it. Okay, if there are, let's solve from this part now. Let's solve. If there are 54 staff in the whole school and 3 students in a particular section, so let's solve for this part now. So we remember our general equation, and what is it saying? It says that S equal to Km. Now S is staff, right? And we have 54 staff. 54 staff. Okay. Wow, I almost skipped something like I even told you earlier now, right? I told you that this is cubed. Wow. Now because of that, this M is actually cubed, not just M. Wow. I almost made this kind of mistake. Sorry for that. So this is meant to be cubed. You get? Okay, let me explain this again in a moment. So this is meant to be that staff varies the number of students cubed. You get? And then if we introduce our constant, we now have that Km this. So sorry for that, I skipped that. Okay, let's continue. So we have that K multiplied by, remember, M is what? M is, they said 3 students, so we have to cube it. 3 students, 3. Okay, and then we have 54 is equal to K times 3 raised to the power 3 is not 3 times 3. Please, that's wrong. 3 raised to the power 3 simply means 3 times 3 times 3, and that's going to give us 27, right? Okay, so we have that K times 27. and here we'll have 54 is equal to k times 27 is giving us 27k. So what do? Divide both sides. Divide both sides by 27. So we'll have that 54 over 27 equal to 27k over 27. So 27 here we're having 1, so k stands alone, and then here we're having 27 by 54 is giving us 2. So therefore, wow, our constant in this question also had to become 2 again. Wow, that's quite funny. Okay, now if we have our constant as 2, let's solve for the next part of the question. What is the next part of the question saying? It's saying find the number of students. Wow, so this is the next part of the question. Sorry, find the number of students in the school if staff increase to 128. Okay, so I think we are done with part of the board. You really understood what I did here. So let me just get rid of this and solve for the next question stem. Okay, hope you're making sense out of this. So solve for the question word by word and make sure it actually makes sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, you can find it difficult to actually flow with it. Okay, so everything we do, I told you in variation, we'll have to bring our general equation. So our general equation here is saying that S equal to K, so S equal to Km cubed. Okay, and then they are saying now that find the number of students in the school if the staff increases to 128. So 128 is the number of staff, right? Now K, according to the question, is 2. Now multiply by, we don't know what is M because they say we should find the number of students, and M is the number of students. So M cubed. So 128 is equal to 2 times M cubed, just give us 2M cubed. Whenever variables and numbers multiply, just come together. You can still check out my video on this thing, algebraic expressions, like I told you, or linear equations. You find how to solve this. Okay, so we divide both sides by 2 now because our variable here has a coefficient. So divide both sides by 2. Why are we using 2? We're using 2 because 2 is the coefficient. Divide both sides by 2. Okay, so have 128, hope you're seeing what I'm doing, over 2 equal to 2m cubed over 2. 2 can cancel out here. So 2 divided by 128 is giving us 64. So 64 is equal to m cubed, right? Okay, please don't be offended. I just want to get rid of this. You can actually pause this video and copy this if you wish to write it, but I just want to get rid of this. My space is kind of exhausted. Please don't be offended. Sorry for that. Okay, but hope you understand what I'm doing. If you can actually understand very well, you can even do it on your own. Okay, so let's continue. Now, for me to actually simplify this, I have a cube here. You have to take cube root of both sides. So take cube root of both sides. If I do that, the cube root of 64, okay, and then cube root of m cube, and cube root of 64 is 4. So I'm on this part of the board right now, please don't be confused. So cube root of 64 is 4, and the cube root of m is just m. So therefore m becomes 4. So the number of students in each section when the staff increased to 124 was 4 raised to power 3, which is 4 cubed. And that makes sense. Now remember, let's make sense out of this now. So when they have 54 staff, remember, they were having 54 staff. They were having how many students? They were having 3 students in a particular section, and that was giving us, let's make sense out of this, student is equal to 27, because 27 means 3 cubed, right? Okay, now they now had 128 staff. So when their staff increased to 128, and now we have 4 raised to power this, it means that the students also increased to 64, right? Now if you watch this now, the students is increasing at the same rate with the staff. So the staff was 64 here, we had 27 students. Now they increased 128, we had 64 students. I hope this is making sense to you. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Wow, this question is coming from indirect or inverse variation. Okay, we'll say the example of inverse variation is relationship between a salary job and sales. Now, if somebody is working in a company or an organization where he earns a monthly salary or wages, now the person's salary has nothing to do with sales. Now, this is the salary and this is sales. Whether the person sells 10 products, 50 cartons of product, or 10 or 20, no matter what the person sells, the person receives a fixed or specific amount of salary at the end of every month. So therefore we said this kind of relationship is indirect, unlike the other relationship where you saw when you sell more you get more. But here, if you sell more, that does not really change anything. Your salary is just your salary. If you don't sell, it doesn't change anything. Your salary is just your salary. Okay, let's continue. Now we says, given that y varies inverse, like I told you, always check out what are they asking you for. This is an inverse variation. So inversely, you get now, inversely. So given that y varies, and now before I continue, I just want to show you the difference between direct variation and inverse variation. Now, if x varies directly as y, this is the relationship. But if x varies inversely, you have 1 over y. This is the difference. So this is a direct relationship, a direct variation, and this is an inverse variation. Please just calmly, just be focused. It's very much simple. So here, given that y varies inversely as the square of x, so y varies inversely as the square of x. Please, not just x but the square. Remember when I just did the last mistake, you almost got me a wrong answer. Okay, so let's continue. In every variation we'll have to introduce a constant. So introduce constant. So here we'll be having that y is equal to k multiplied by 1 over s squared. And now y is equal to k times 1 is just k, right? And then s squared. And this is our general equation. Work with this question throughout in the course of solving this particular question. Okay. At this point it says and y is 8 when x is 2. So let's substitute 8 for y. So 8 is for y. We don't know what is k, and x is what? X is 2. So 2 raised to the power 2 because it's squared. Now I hope you know where this 2 is coming from. It's coming from this general equation. So 8 equal to k over 4. Whenever you have a fraction in algebraic expression, you cross multiply. I think I still explained that in my video. So cross multiply. If we cross multiply here, cross multiply. Okay. Now, if we cross multiply, this number multiply this and this multiply this. And I hope you know every number is over 1 of itself. So if I had chosen to say over 1, it doesn't change anything here. So it means that 8 times 4 equal to k. K is just on its own. So 8 times 4 is giving us 8 times 4 is giving us about 32, right? And then here we'll have k. So therefore, our constant k is 32. Okay, let's check out for the next question and then know how to solve for it. Now, the next question stem is saying calculate the value of y. So which means y is actually unknown, missing, when x is 6. Okay. So remember the rule that says always bring back a general equation. So the general equation says that y is equal to k over s squared. Now calculate the value of y, which means y is missing. K is 32 over s is 6. So 6 squared will be giving us it means 6 squared because of the squared in our equation. So y equal to 32 over 6 squared is 6 times 6, and that is 36. Okay, let's break these numbers down. Let me just clean some things to get some space right here. Okay, so let's break this number together. Let's break them down together. So we have 32 over 36. So 2 here is giving us 16. 2 here is giving us 18. I'm breaking down. 2 here is giving us 8. 2 here is giving us 9. I wish to stop at 8 over 9. So let me just stop here. You can also wish to write your answer down as a decimal. That's still cool. I just wish to stop here. Okay. Now, let me just get some space here. Hope you just understand what I'm doing. I'm trying to get space so we can solve for this other part of the question that says and x when y equal to 1 over 2. So what you just have to do is you can just pause this video and get these things jot down if you are writing them, and then let's continue. Okay, let me just clean this part. I want to solve for the next, but hope you understand what I'm doing. So let me just solve for the next part of this question. Okay, that's the last phase of the question. Okay, that was cool. So, and okay, let me say and x, which means x is now unknown when y is equal to 1 over 2. So remember, everything we do, we have to bring back our general equation. So what is our general equation? It says that y, look at it here, equal to k over s squared. So we are looking for x, and now y is, they said y is 1 over 2. So 1 over 2 equal to k is 32 from what we solved previously. So we had 32 over, we done s squared is a variable. So whenever you have fraction, you just have to cross multiply. So 1 times s squared still gives us s squared. You can choose to cross multiply via here or here first, any one of your choice. So, and then 2 times 32 is giving us 64. Wow. So what do we do? Because we have a square, we'll take square root of both sides, and that will be giving us square root of s squared equal to square root of 64. Okay, and then this gives us x equal to, and that's giving us 8. So our final answer is 8. Hope this is making sense to you. Okay, let's check out for the next slide. Okay, wow, try on your own. Okay, I have 2 questions here. Make sure you try them on your own. That's the best way of learning. Try on your own. Pause this video and solve, then play to see the answers. I'll just give you 1 minute to solve this, and once you play the video, you will see the answers. Okay, before that, let me just help you. I think a varies directly as the square root of. Okay, let me just help you out in this one now. So, but I'm not going to show you the answer. So they're expecting to show you the answer. So a varies directly as, because it's direct. I told you, always watch out for what they're asking you. What kind of variation is it, direct or indirect or joint or partial? So a varies directly as the square root of b. That's just a secret here. So I think you can do the rest on your own. Okay. Now, if x varies indirectly, if x varies, yes, indirectly or inversely as y. So you know what to do about that, right? Okay. And here are the answers. Please solve them and check this answer. Wow, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate. Subscribe to this channel, and remember, like I told you, I can teach you anywhere one-on-one in the world. So have a good time. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate.